If you're an adult club player, you've probably had the dreaded experience of getting paired with a kid at a chess tournament. These underrated little gremlins are ready to take your rating points and possibly a part of your soul. In this video, I'm going to teach you the best techniques to defeat even the scariest of prodigies. And if you're a kid watching this, get out of here. No, just kidding, stay. I really need the views. The most common piece of wisdom I've heard for playing against kids is to make them as bored as possible. Kids are really sharp with tactics, but might not have the patience to slog through a locked position or a king-pawn endgame. That doesn't mean you need to make an entirely new opening repertoire just for kids, but if you sit down across from one, it's probably not a good time to pull out your Stafford Gambit. Speaking of, most kids have access to the internet, so never assume you'll be able to surprise them with the latest trick you saw in some YouTube short. Your time management is very important when playing kids. In my experience, kids tend to play more quickly than adults. It's important not to try and match their pace exactly, which will probably lead to blunders on your end, but also not to play so slowly that you run completely out of time. I had one classical game where by the end, my young opponent had used less than 10 minutes off of his clock, while I was down to just 5 minutes left on my clock. Needless to say, I lost that game. So you do have to keep a good balance, but just don't rush things. Kids can get impatient just sitting there, so if you take a few longer thinks in critical positions, that's only going to benefit you. Also, because kids are impatient, that means that a lot of them have a tendency to rush what they assume are easy endgames. If you can be patient enough to build up pressure and just play principled chess, this is often the phase of the game where they crack just because they don't quite understand all the complexities. Now, of course, as with all these tips, there are nuances. Some kids are really strong in the endgame. They may have a coach that helped them learn how to play strategically. So none of this is guaranteed, but at the club player level, I'm just trying to give you the best chances possible. At the end of the day, it's all about psychology. You should really strive to play the board and not the player. So in reality, that means that you should play no differently against a kid as you would against an adult. The only difference is that sometimes kids are a little bit more fidgety, and you just have to learn to ignore it like any other distraction in a playing hall. Just play your best chess and show no mercy. I think the problem is it often hurts our ego so much more when we lose to kids, but remember that these kids have way more time to devote to chess as opposed to a working adult with a million other responsibilities. Plus, their minds are like sponges. They pick up information really quickly and retain it. In some ways, we should really strive to be more like them. And remember, kids are the future of chess, so we can do our part by modeling good behavior and quietly cheering for them as they climb the ranks, even on the days when we are the unfortunate stepping stones. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave your own advice or stories in the comments, and if you're new around here, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out a lot. I'll see you soon.